What's up, guys? So in this video, we're going to be talking about charging higher prices as a filmmaker, as a production company. If you're running a production company, whether you're just starting out and you're charging $1,000 per video, or you're already at the point where you're charging 10, 20, 50, $100,000 per video, you need to charge higher prices. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So why is charging higher prices so beneficial and so important? Why do I talk about it so much? Well, there's a lot of benefits to charging high prices. You make more money. You have more time to spend with your clients because you can work with less clients to make the same amount of money so that you can treat them like VIPs and give them a VIP experience. You're able to produce a higher quality product and just produce, have a better business in general. There's a lot of advantages that come with charging high prices. And so that's why it's so important. But not just the benefits, but it's also kind of a necessity. Like if you want to scale your business, if you want to grow, if you want to get bigger, if you want to grow, you have to learn how to charge higher prices. It's necessary because let's say you want to make six figures and you're charging $1,000 per video. Well, then you're gonna have to shoot 100 videos in order to make six figures. And I don't know a lot of people that can do 100 videos in a year. Right? So if you're trying to make six figures and you charge $1,000, it's going to take 100 clients. But if you charge $10,000, then you'll need 10 clients to make the same amount of money with like way less work, right? So it all adds up. And this works, the same if you're already, making six figures and you're trying to get to seven figures and you're charging, $10,000 per video right now, you need 100 clients in order to make seven figures. Whereas if you can raise your rates to $100,000 per video, then you only need 10 clients in order to make the same amount of money. So the big mistake that a lot of filmmakers think is that their opportunity for growth is in getting more and more and more and more clients. When in reality, the real opportunity to grow is in learning how to charge higher and higher and higher prices. So with that being said, here are my top 3 tips for charging higher prices as a filmmaker or as a production company. So number 1 is that first things first, you need to believe that you are worth a higher price. Number 1, without fail, the number 1 question that I get every time I mention charging higher prices, the number 1 comment that I see from people is, well, your work has to be good enough and you've got to improve the quality of your work. I'm not worth that much. I can't charge $10,000. I just started out a year ago, or I'm too young. I don't have whatever it is. I don't have the belief that I can charge that higher price. So if you're charging $10,000 and I'm like, hey, you should charge $20,000, without fail, the pushback that I get is, well, something about me. I am deficient. I cannot do this. I'm too young. I don't have whatever. I can't charge that much. And why is that? Well, the first thing you have to realize is that, number 1, that is completely in your head, right? You are completely making that up. That is your belief system coming out and saying that you believe that 10,000 okay and you don't believe that 20,000 okay. But the reality is that pricing is completely arbitrary. It's completely subjective. There's no government out there that dictates what you can charge and what you can't charge for your video production. And so the reality is you can charge whatever you want, and there's nothing out there that dictates that you have to charge a certain amount. It's only your beliefs in your head where you believe that I feel like this is okay and this is too much. Where do those beliefs come from? Well, they probably come from your friends that are filmmakers, other people what you've heard other people are charging. All of those things can cause you to have a specific belief about what is the right price. And that honestly is probably limiting you because for most filmmakers that I talk to, the reality is you could be charging way more than you're charging right now. And there are people out there that are doing it and are charging those high prices who are not making work that is even near the quality of yours. And so pricing actually isn't based on the quality of your work. Now, do you want to have a good quality product that actually serves your customers, gets them a result and everything? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And you should always be striving to make that better and better. But the reality is that your pricing isn't hinged on the quality of your work as much as you think it is. So if you're struggling to believe that you are worth those higher prices, let me just kind of give you this little bit of motivation for you. And the thing is, I believe that every one of you that's watching this, your work is infinitely valuable. Now, what does that mean? Why is it infinitely valuable? What does that mean, Eric? Well, because the reality is it costs you time and energy and effort in order to put that time into a project for a client, and your time is a finite resource. You only have a certain amount of time here on the earth. It is the only time that you get. You're not going to get another chance. And so the time that you spend on this earth and what you spend your time doing on this earth is infinitely valuable. So without going too deep down that rabbit hole, because it can be a very deep rabbit hole, the reality is your time is extremely valuable. And I personally believe that if anybody is going to take my time or require me to do something for them and spend my time that I could be spending with my family or with my kids or doing something that I just want to do, then I'm going to charge high prices for that time because I believe in the value of that time. Now, filmmakers especially have like multiples of this value because there's so much time and energy and effort that you've put into learning your craft and the skill and the fact that you're able to do it and you're able to do it quickly and you're able to do it very professionally and have it done, and you have the gear and the software and the crew and everything like that all lined up for a client who doesn't have to have any of that. And you're able to come in and provide that service very easily for them. All they have to do is pay you a few $1,000s. And so by paying you that money, they are basically saying, I don't have to spend the last decade learning filmmaking in order to produce the same level quality product. I can just pay somebody else to do it so that they will do it for me. And so in that sense, your work is so valuable. Think about all the time that you spent learning filmmaking. Think about all the time that you've spent or the money you've spent going to film school maybe, or you spent on courses and programs to learn this stuff. Think about the money that you spent on gear, the money that you spend on software, on computers, on SD cards, on all the stuff that you need in order to do your craft. The time that you've spent networking with other filmmakers so that you have a crew that you can work with so that you can do the project. All of that stuff is extremely valuable, and when you really start to think about it, you start to add up your time plus all of those other things, you start to realize that the work that you do as a filmmaker is extremely valuable to the right clients. All right, so the first thing is to believe that you're worth those high prices, because if you don't believe it, your clients are not going to believe it. Sales, or when you communicate with your clients, sales is a transfer of belief. Whatever you believe, your clients will also believe. So if you believe that $10,000 is a lot of money, then your clients are going to believe that $10,000 is a lot of money. And so in order for you to pitch at $10,000, you've got to believe truly internally that it's not that much money, because everything that you say, everything you do, how you hold yourself, the way you cross your arms, whether you're awkward, the tone of your voice, everything is going to project your beliefs onto those clients. And so if you believe that it's too much, they're also going to believe that it's too much. One of my friends and mentors, Myron Golden, says this line that I think is brilliant. He says, "Never will you charge more than, and seldom will you charge as much as, the amount that you believe is a lot of money." Write that down. Okay, so now that you believe that you're worth high prices, now let me show you a really easy, quick, and simple strategy for charging high prices while still running your business and still keeping the bills paid. So a lot of filmmakers are obviously worried about, like, if I raise my prices, then I'm gonna lose those clients, right? Because if you go from $5,000 to $10,000 and then you have a client that only wanted to pay $5,000, they're probably gonna say no. So what do you do? And if you're working full time as a filmmaker and you don't have another source of income, you've got to keep the bills paid. You got to keep things going. And so here's how I would do it. So this is what I call fishing for clients. So fishing for clients is basically, let's say you're starting out as a production company and you're pretty new and you're charging $1,000 to $5,000, typically is where you're averaging your price at. And so whenever a new client comes along and says, "Hey, what do you charge?" What I want you to do is say, well, it depends on a few different factors and we can look into your project to see what it's going to be. But normally we charge about $5,000 to $10,000. Now what's going to happen is that you're going to have some clients that are just going to go, "Okay, sounds good." And you're going to love that because it's going to be amazing. They're going to go, "Okay, yeah, that sounds great." You're going to put together the project for them. You're going to bill them within that rate, and it's going to be awesome. And this will actually happen way more often than you think it will. But then if that doesn't happen, and let's say they come in and they say, "Oh, well, we were thinking something more like $2,000 or $3,000. Then what you can do is you can go back to them and say, "Okay, well, let's see what we can do and see if there's a way that we can make that work." And you might make a few concessions, you might change things a little bit and help them to make that production happen. That way you're still getting the clients and you can still keep the bills paid, but then you're also fishing for those higher paying clients and waiting for those opportunities where you find the person who's aligned with that higher price and they just say, "Yes, let's go for it." This was literally the strategy that I used to go from charging $500 per video to charging $20,000 per video in a very short amount of time. And the cool thing is when you start charging those higher prices, you're able to go, "Wow, I have this extra budget that I can now put into crew and cameras and everything." And your whole business grows because the quality of your work improves, your relationship with your client improves, you look more professional on set, and everything just goes better because you're now charging those higher prices. Now, the last thing you need to keep in mind is that no matter what you choose to charge as a filmmaker, you are always losing clients on both ends of the spectrum. What does that mean? So let's say you choose a price point. Let's say you say, "I'm charging $20,000 per video." Well, there are gonna be people in the world out there that think that $20,000 is too much and therefore will not hire you because that's too much for their budget. But there are also people, and this is the thing that filmmakers forget about, who think that $20,000 is too low. I always tell this story. There was a guy that I met at a party once, and we were talking about this, and I was telling him about my production company, and he was a potential client of mine, could have been. And long story short, I ended up telling him, he asked me what my prices were, and I said like $5,000 to $10,000 per video, because I was doing that fishing for clients thing that I told you about. And so I said that, and when I said that, he immediately became disinterested. And I was like, what happened? And I went to find out what happened, and it turns out that he was looking at hiring a production company that I already knew charged $100,000 minimum for a video. So when I told him 5 to 10K, he knew immediately, without seeing my work, without seeing my company, without seeing my portfolio or anything, that I was not in his league, and he became disinterested. So keep this in mind, that you're not only losing clients who think that your work is too expensive, you're also losing clients who think that your work is too cheap and are judging you based on that. So if you're gonna lose clients on both ends of the spectrum anyway, I would rather miss out on a $100,000 client and gain one $100,000 client than gain $100,000 clients and miss out on that one $100,000 client. So think about it that way. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful in learning how to charge higher prices and how to maybe think about your pricing structure as a filmmaker, as a production company. As always, if you want help growing your production company and scaling your business, doubling your revenue in this year, and you want me and my team to look at your business and take a look at where you're at and see what your goals are and see if we can help you to get there, the best place to start is to go down below. I've got a link for a free training. It's at cinematicShift.com. I'm gonna kind of walk you through our entire process and what we do, how we get people started into this. And then if you're interested, you can book a call with our team and we'll take a look at everything that you got going on and see if there's something that's a good fit for you. So if you want that, that's down in the description down below. If you have any questions about this, feel free to leave a comment down below and let me know, and then I'll see you guys on the next video.